You mentioned earlier the sort of prayerful reading of Scripture, what the tradition calls Lectio Divina. What exactly does that involve, Tami?
That's a style that I find very helpful personally for myself. One way of doing that is a couple years ago, several of us, some of my friends said, you know, we were kind of stuck in, like you were describing, Father Mike, of our prayer life being kind of dry. So we got together, 5 of us, and we decided to pray the Sunday scriptures together once a week on Monday nights, 5 of us from all different walks of life, some lay, some ordained, just different people, some married, some not. And we'd read the Sunday scriptures, and we would do what we call Lectio Divina, where we'd read it, and then we do different things with it. We'd first think of it, there's a word or phrase that came to each one of us and kind of pray and think about that, what stuck out to us. And then we'd read the scripture one more time, and then we'd share maybe a little deeper, maybe something else kind of struck us when we heard that. And then kind of share, what's the good news for us that week? What are we hearing Jesus talk to us, especially through the gospel perhaps? And to share within a community, as Jesus said, whenever 2 or more are gathered, there I am. And so I found that to be a very sustaining, wonderful faith community of sharing and deepening my prayer life using that method as well.
And that's one of the kinds of prayers that can stay with you through the day, because I think St. Ambrose uses the image of chewing on the words to identify a phrase or a verse from the Scriptures, and then spending the day sort of ruminating upon it, so that you may spend some focused time praying it, but then throughout the day going back to it when you're pausing. And think of all the times when we're kind of mindlessly doing other things that we could in fact be giving to prayer. Driving to work, we could be mulling over that phrase, or driving home from work, we could be mulling over that phrase. There's many ways like that to pray.
I'm just going to say on that, one of the things myself that I've noticed in my own life and in talking to other people is that as one gets more experienced in prayer, usually you tend to find a style or an approach that is nourishing, that sustains you in your relationship with God, and you can kind of stay with that at least for a long period. You know, I think when we first start off, we're a little bit antsy, and we wonder, am I doing this right? And so we want to try different approaches and different things. And then gradually we find something that in a gentle way just sustains us. You know? I remember when I was studying theology in the seminary and finding that I had real trouble praying because I was thinking about things too much. I was probably bringing to my prayer the same kind of stuff that we had to bring to our courses, you know, reading about the Scriptures or about, you know, theological ideas, and it was too heady. And I kind of tried to deal with this myself and try different things and wasn't getting very far, and eventually talked to a wise priest, an older Jesuit who had been a novice director, and he said, well, didn't anybody ever tell you that you need to change, that, you know, as you get older, what worked for you before isn't going to work for you again. But he said, the one thing I've found in my life, and I found this too myself, is that as people get older, their prayer tends to become simpler, that we need kind of less fuel, less input in general, and we can just kind of let the Lord take over.